I will as well look at what you should do to prepare to pass an exam. You will believe with me that at this level, paper 13, you are aware that you can get out of an exam paper when you have failed it, not because you couldn't answer the questions, but you did not have your strategies right. You did not prepare yourself. You failed even to answer questions you clearly could have answered. And the issue there is, here for you to pass or fail is a matter of how much is your score, because there is a pass mark. And if you don't hit it or above it, you revisit the paper. Okay? Now, in the process of preparing students for these examinations, the institute makes sure it takes the due steps, because no, their mandate is to regulate and maintain the standard of accountancy. And as far as you are a student, you are the person they will be looking at, because you go out there and interact with the business and business entities, or the people in the business sector, and at the end of the day, you'll be in charge of the financial reporting. Okay? So the institute serves students with a syllabus. Okay? Now, don't forget that the syllabus is intended to make sure that you are impacted with knowledge and you can apply knowledge in matters of financial reporting out there in the business. Okay? So at this paper 13, you'll be looking at an interrelationship of 4 papers of accountancy. Yeah? You have the paper 1, and don't forget that your syllabus says that all that are an input in your paper. So when you are studying those papers and you have passed them like you have done, you do not put them or throw them to the dustbin. Any area that you were not comfortable with, you should be able to revisit it. If you cannot do it by yourself, then team up. At least you know a number of people that you are doing the paper with. Either you are using the same service provider, the colleges, or you identify yourselves in a way. So you agree and make up a serious team. And you start on identifying your areas. Now, while you are working as a team, you should also work on yourself as a student. Because at the end of the day, you are going to face the paper as an individual. Okay? So identify the areas in the earlier papers that you have a weakness, and make sure you interest the other team members to revisit them, or you make an effort to get somebody through those particular areas. Okay? In this process of preparing yourself. Okay? Now, when you have identified those areas and you have a syllabus for this paper 13 before you, you are not the first students for this paper. So they are past papers, and you have the syllabus showing you how the examination is set up. I will not fail to mention the fact that this is a paper where one compulsory question carries 50 marks. And it's a paper to be done in 3 hours. So those are 180 minutes. So if you are to effectively divide your time with regard to the marks, so we are looking at half of the time to be given to the first question. Okay? So then you do another 2 questions. So each of the other 2 questions maximum should not take you more than 45 minutes. But as a student, there are areas you have gone through and you are comfortable. So you know that one could even take you half the time to beat the mark, to get the pass mark for that area. So where you have a challenge, you can easily identify that. The 15 marks that are allocated to go through the question should be used for that purpose. There you will identify the questions you can do and those that are easily done. Because in your study process, you should be able to identify the areas that you know are easy to deal with. Okay? So in my presentation, I was going through what is this relevance and what is this financial reporting when you are producing all those statements. But my emphasis is going to be the question approach. So while we are talking about investors, the different stakeholders, you are at the end, is paper 13. The other paper is the public sector, and you are looking at all those modalities. The purpose, the main purpose of the institute having this engagement is to make sure they share their experience or their expectation as regards preparation or question approach. Okay? So that's why you find that I'm not going through the details here. I'm really looking at how best you could be, you could get yourself prepared for the exam and identifying the questions you are going to sit and the areas you need to concentrate. Now, my major concentration is going to be the 50-mark question. This 50 marks question has always been consolidated financial statements. Okay? And we look at the standards to that. Okay? So this is an area that you cannot afford not to be comfortable with, not to prepare, not to read through and make sure all the standards and all the recommendations as regards presentation is concerned. Do not forget that every time you are preparing for this paper, you are looking at application. And your particular syllabus even talks about application of any standard in issue, even when it has not been effectively applied in the commercial sector or whatever sector it is supposed to help in the financial statement preparation. So please, the first thing is look at the syllabus. And the exam setting is such that 80%, 75% of the entire syllabus will show up at every exam sitting. So you risk yourself to even not think about the entire syllabus or skip. And look at consolidation and the past papers we have had. You could do fit in any standard. Okay? So we are looking at preparation. And when you are in the exam, you are now ready for that paper. You have done all it takes. There are basic things that you should do. Usually they are asking you for financial statements and there is information given, especially where they are talking about the statement of comprehensive income, a statement of profit and loss. You know that there is elimination that happens. Yeah? Now, if you prepared the format, and it may not even take you 5 minutes, of the either statement of comprehensive income or the statement of financial position, and just looked at the question and input those assets, liabilities as they are given, and even the figures as they are, this plus this plus this, and you are left with what you are going to subtract, you will be able to score marks without even doing much. You will be able to score marks because at the end of the day, you are doing that. Okay? You could have working somewhere and get the final figure into your solution, but there is nowhere you are penalized by working within that solution. allow enough space so that you are adding, maybe you have three, a parent and two subsidiaries, or a parent, provided you know the group structure. And if you went to the exam and you're not sure of how to ascertain group structure and goodwill, those basics, then you are hitting yourself, because consolidation comes all the time. And it is very easy to pick easy marks from consolidation by giving it the way it is as you wait to make the adjustments. There are obvious adjustments within consolidation that you are able to deal without maybe the advanced components that may be given. Why don't you just do the working of that and slot them into your answer structure that you have prepared? Okay? And manage your time. Make sure you have the time management with you, because if you are going to do consolidation for more than the time it should be done, even if you did it so well, it is not, you'll score 50 out of 50, which is the pass mark. So allow yourself to look at even the numbers of 25 marks. Okay? So the better, because we are told to attempt the questions that do not require you to do it and get it 100%. It is attempt 3 questions. One is 50 marks, the others are 25 each. So consolidation is key. And remember, this is advanced financial reporting. So don't concentrate on the portion of consolidation that ends at paper 8. Okay? The syllabus is clear that you would be brought aspects of a merger, you will be brought aspects of a demerger, you will be brought aspects of a consolidation where a new company is coming up. There will be cases of reconstruction within the consolidation. There will be cases of disposal. There will be cases of maybe partial acquisitions. So you shoot yourself by going to an exam without that. And by the way, you decide when to sit. You have other aspects, other maybe activities that cover some of your time. You could be working, you're a father, you're a husband, and all that is around you. So why do you have to sit every other sitting only to record a fail? Because you are not ready. Okay? So preparation starts now. Are you going to sit the next diet, or are you not ready? Okay? So what are you doing? Do your time planning outside the exam and within the exam. Okay? Make sure you attempt the 3 questions. Okay? And the other mistake that is very consistent with your papers, you see your reports, is the tendency to be carried away. The tendency to be carried away, the tendency to answer your own question. Because you did a revision and they are asking about a given standard, and the particular question you attempted is in the same area. So you are answering the question you revised instead of the specific aspects that have been presented in this particular exam that you are taking. Okay? So I would suggest that every time you are going for an exam, after the preparations outside the examination room, offload, take a rest, and be fresh on the examination day. That will help you take on what is in the examination paper, and you don't start setting the question you last revised and through the night, and you stress yourself. So try to offload and answer the question that has been asked. And don't waste a lot of time indicating what you know in that area instead of answering the particular aspects of the standard that have been asked. And at this level, it should be clear to you that we are not looking at anything other than application. So even if before you have not seen a past paper question on a particular standard that is purely application, ask yourself, how would it be in an environment where I need to apply? Most of the time we look at application of inventory because that simply is common in every entity. But how about interim reporting? Ask yourself, what would it be? What am I supposed to do? How do I get it into the application form? So I know this, the standard is saying don't do this, don't report on this. But can I see myself put a scenario? How about application? Actually, for every standard you are dealing with, other than looking at those aspects of recognition, the recognition, disclosures, and etc., look at application. If I'm supposed to use that standard, what am I supposed to do? So that is really important for every standard. At the O level, you are not asked any of those other aspects other than the application of a standard, and every time you are revising, put yourself there. And indeed, when you are revising, it's not enough to read. It is also necessary for you to do some computation, to time yourself on a computation and come up with a strategy, okay? It's not enough to talk about it now. There are numbers that are in past papers that require you to complete or to attempt and score the necessary marks in, say, 90 minutes, okay? Try to time yourself, because clearly you know all the aspects of the question, but can you do it in 90 minutes? Because you are not in an exam. Then you identify your weaknesses. That maybe I relax so much, maybe I dwell so much on this, maybe I'm not conscious of the time. Because not everybody who fails does not know. But it is usually the question approach that beats you. So do you have the discipline to stop yourself when the time for that question is up and look at other areas? Okay? Could you even think about making a plan for the solution of a question that you have not approached? Because if you have the points within the plan, you will get the marks. Okay? If you have the points within the plan, you will get the marks. Please note that you do not score the marks for the final figures that you are presenting. You score the marks for the working. That's why every question is saying, show all your workings. Okay? So sometimes some of you are surprised when you have not put your marks in the final template, but you have passed the paper. So we are not looking at really the figures alone, but we are looking at your workings as well. Because the marks is coming from the workings. The marks is coming from the workings, and that is really an area for emphasis. Okay? So please note that consolidation is key. Please note that for standards that are within consolidation or the entire exam paper, you are required to apply. So you are not going to look at disclosures, recognition, and the recognition, that is a lower level. Okay? Now, there are standards that students, I don't know, by default, wouldn't want to bother themselves with. And these are key. One of the standards is the standard on income taxes, IS 12. You are preparing yourself to go out and be used in different capacities in the areas of financial reporting. Now, most of the entities that we are looking at are corporations that are supposed to pay taxes. Even if the corporations are not supposed to pay taxes, you will have an element of taxation that will feature into the operations, the financial operations of that entity in one way or another. And you require that. True, the standard itself is a big volume, but you can share it as a discussion group and agree as we go to discuss. You are looking at pages 1 and 2 and you discuss those. I'll look at 3 and 4 and you look at 5 and 6. So when I come, I discuss my pages 1 and 2. He discusses 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. At the end of the day, we have put down the entire standard. So we are asking ourselves, what is it saying? What does it require? What would we do? You could even come up with a question within that discussion and see how to work it out. In that way, you are getting the portion of application sink into your, and you'll be able to present it when required. It is not enough to run away from standards. If you look at your past papers, you'll see that the area of taxation is featuring more often than before, and aspects of deferred tax, because it's an aspect of tax planning. You will get a relief of tax by deferred tax where your transactions are reasonable, and it could be very helpful for tax planning purposes. Okay? So the moment you are running away from an area because you think it is too much and yet it is applicable out there, it will surely catch up with you. So the better plan would be for you to agree within your groups that you discuss in to handle those particular areas. So nobody is going to wait for you to, in 2021 to show you what it should be done in that standard. So please make sure that this is an examination process passing out to be useful, and the way we regulate or make sure you fit is when you are doing the exam, not when it is applicable. Provided the standard is an issue, you should know its applicability. So there is no way I can overemphasize it. But I believe if right from the beginning you have your priorities right, you set your reading times, you are able to take notes, your study notes should be full of the areas of difficulty that you need to remind yourself over and over. Now, if you overload your study notes with the obvious things that you can do, you already learned, you understand them, then that is not productive study. Because you have a syllabus, and it's not a small syllabus. And we are looking at the entire economy with the different sectors. There is no specific one that you will do, but you look at the laws, the regulations, whatever standards are applicable in the particular sector that you go to. Please note that your own syllabus has aspects of money or deposit-taking institutions, and they would want you to show that you can deal with them. It has insurance, it has capital markets, it has all those aspects. So do not even consider any area on the syllabus to be not relevant. They are all relevant areas that you should. You cannot dictate where the question is coming from. It is coming from the syllabus, and it is covering at least 75% of the syllabus. So don't overlook aspects. This particular paper, if you look at your reports, has recorded a lot of failures when you go to the areas of conceptual framework, which looks obvious. That is a clear indication that actually you have not mastered financial reporting. Okay? So that is a clear indication. So why would somebody sitting this paper of accounting totally fail? And the other area that you would find in your reports, the importance that the examination gives to the different standards is uniform. Okay? When you're rating standards, you cannot say, IS2 inventories is 3%, and maybe whatever IFRS 5 is 6%. No, the standards are standards. They are giving what is expected to be taken care of when it comes to the presentation of the different areas that you come across. So they have equal weighting. So most of the time, you'll find that the standards that you go through at earlier paper, when brought on the level of paper 13 for application, you are registering almost 0 marks. If you have seen that in your reports that you get after the examinations. The reason is you have some scales, you have some misconceptions. This particular engagement is meant to help you unlearn or offload some of those misconceptions you've had for this particular paper. Okay? So you should be free and open to learning. Whatever you have had in the past about the different standards should come out. I have seen a report indicating that paper 13 candidates cannot give the applicability of going concern. Okay? So if asked, because I know some exams somewhere I was asking about going concern. If I ask the application or the impact of a disclosure of going concern to somebody sitting paper 13, that they would register 0 marks for it. So that means we are not preparing ourselves. Surely what you should be doing in your discussion groups for the different papers is asking yourselves what is expected of us regarding this conceptual framework that we look at through the course. What is it about? Because nobody is going to ask you about going concern to expect you to give an answer that it is this assumption and it is that there is that continuous. No, it's the application. You are looking at stakeholders. When you give any comment of going concern or you are saying it's in jeopardy, what is its implication? What would be the impact on the stakeholders? So please ask yourself application questions in the different areas. Ask yourself, if it is application and they're asking me about banking and the Banking Act, what would they want me to do? What is applicable? What is it that is application about banking? So those are the aspects that you should deal with as regards the discussion groups. And indeed be serious. Be serious and open to learn. In your discussion groups, be serious to a level that you can fire whichever member is not cooperating. If we are reading a standard and you are given portion of a standard to prepare and you did not do it, we give you 1 or 2 warnings and we fire you. You don't come back. You should be ready to do that because that's what you are either currently doing or you are about to do in the field. If you have a team, you should all have the same goals. You should all set your goals and make sure you achieve them or you are being scored because it's a key result area. It is the basis of your performance. So your revision is an input to your performance. And your time allocation when you are in an exam is also an input to your passing or failing. At the end of the day, the way you prepare will be able to be reflected out there in the field. Push yourselves to learn what you think is difficult. Because how are these standards developed? The standard setting process. People like you sit together and agree this is what is happening and this is what we should do. It's discussed over and over until they arrive at what should be done. Therefore, why should people like you again fail to apply what you have agreed? The standards don't come from anywhere other than look at the team that come in the standard setting, they're businessmen. They're saying, in my business has ABC, my challenges are this. How do we deal with? And they are sitting on a round table and agreeing. So clearly it is something you can do because the team that comes up with it are not really technical, but they are exposed. And that is the technicality they have. They're exposed. At the end of the day, you are saying everybody is doing a different thing and we cannot agree. Therefore, let's sit and agree on how to deal with this. Okay? So you can deal with these standards. Okay? And they are to help us. And at the end of the day, you should know that it is not only about passing the exam. Maybe tomorrow you'll be on that team setting those very standards. So you could as well be identifying weaknesses and seeing how to deal with it. You can forward it to the institute. They are our representation when it comes to the IFAC. And they can as well input your concern. I mean, send it forward where you are in the practice and you have challenges. Okay? So you cannot overemphasize the need to make sure you prepare adequately. The need to make sure you go around the syllabus. The need to make sure that your first focus should be consolidation, and all those standards should be at your fingertips. Their applicability, not a matter of disclosure, recognition, the recognition or measurement as they appear. Okay? They need to practice even before. They need to time yourself in an exam. And they need to have the discipline to say, I am stopping here as regards this question, even when I can input, because the most I can get is the marks allocated to it. And I may not be 100% on track. Okay? So the exam is not meant to fail you. The exam is meant to prepare you for the industry and to be able to serve in different capacities, to be able to start on your decision making and taking right at the exam. Okay? So, and at the end of the day, there is no other measure that the institute will use to determine whether you should proceed to the next level or not, other than what you show, what you give in the exam. So there is no way I can overemphasize that. Now, still on preparation, your particular syllabus has the learning outcomes. Okay? I made an effort to get a copy of your syllabus on my way here. So you have learning outcomes. Okay? Now, amongst your learning outcomes, you've been told discuss and apply. Okay? Now, why would you go explaining if this wants to discuss? Ask yourself in your discussion group, what does it mean to discuss? So if the different areas would require me to discuss, because the exam is based on this learning outcome. If you check your past papers, you will find that your questions are saying either discuss or apply or prepare or interpret or analyze. That's the requirement. And it is clear here. So when you're preparing, look at your learning outcomes. You are given 7 learning outcomes. Exercise judgment on reporting issues. Okay? So your role out there is advisory. Okay? So if you look at the circumstances of a particular entity, you are expected to exercise judgment. So in your preparation, if you are not looking at what is the overall aim, what are the learning outcomes, how has been the focus of the previous papers, okay? Now, the error of looking at a past paper question and cramming the answers and the questions in that past paper is long past. Every exam diet is unique, is focused on the entire syllabus, and the questioning is completely different, but the areas are the same. Okay? Because we have the outcomes, and those are what we are testing on. Okay? As an institute. Okay? So as far as the learning outcomes and the overall aims are concerned, please, in your preparation, look at them. Because you will not find an examination question outside the syllabus, and you will not find an examination question asking you what is not in the learning outcome. Because the question is, what is the expectation? So why are you asking that? Yeah? The institute has a mechanism of looking at these questions to that detail. They have resource within and outside to make sure all this that is on your syllabus is taken care of in any examinations diet. So if you want to pass this paper, the secret is the syllabus and the format of the question paper. Okay? At least if you are fully prepared with all aspects of consolidation, you will pass this paper even when other areas are not really, you are not really very strong. Because this is a question of, if you registered 40 marks in question 1, you just need 10 to pass. Okay? And all aspects of the syllabus will really appear every exam. And it is not possible to exhaust, because you realize the questions are original. Okay? You realize the questions are original every other time if you have looked at the question papers, and you realize the questions will not be found anywhere else. You'll find a question within this examinations diet that you have never found either in another examinations or in a textbook. So just pick the spirit of the examination. Somebody sits down and says application of the standard. So what is it? And it comes up with something and it's applicable. So just pick it from the syllabus and you'll be able to register a pass rate. Okay? Now within my presentation, I was emphasizing the fact that you are not going to read the material when preparing for this paper in passing. You have to intentionally make sure you are understanding. So you have to set the reading environment. Okay? So if you feel you cannot understand, try not to push yourself, because what is your objective? What do you want? So set the environment and make sure it is going to be helpful to you, because you do not have all the time. Okay? You do not have all the time that you will go over it and over it. You may have only that special time that you should plan. That's why I was talking about cursory reading. You are too tired, you cannot take on anything, you are not understanding, but you are reading anyway. Get the right books, get the right team, and discuss. When you do prepare for this exam, you will surely pass, because that's what the institute is looking for from you. After you have prepared yourself, and you have even done personal reading, you may not look at other aspects. What I would want to comment is your passing is your total responsibility. Okay? You even pay tuition to have people help you in this preparation. But at the end of the day, it is you. It is very possible to have this person before you, giving everything that you need. but you are tired and not receptive, and you're not even understanding what he's talking about. And you even don't have time to look at those notes. Okay? So, during your preparations, it is very important to know that a team would help more. I remember one of the things I did, because I was doing these exams during our times, when I was as well teaching different papers, as well had other responsibilities. I was doing some other work. And sitting to look through notes was a very, very big problem. The best way I would read is like I would have these videos. And instead of relaxing at home, watching whatever TV programs, I would just input in my video and I sit back and I listen to this teaching by somebody who is taking me through an area. It is also important that as you prepare, you vary the way you are trying to learn. It may not be only notes, taking notes and reading them. You may need to even listen. Yeah? And you could get it more when you're listening. And you are relaxed, free. You're not even in an exam environment, I mean a lecture room. You can turn back, yeah? Whatever CD or whatever it is, to listen again what was being said. So in your preparation, please vary that, okay? And when you are learning, either in a discussion group or in a lecture room, whatever, please tell yourself that you are learning. Okay? You are not comparing yourself with the A, B, C, D who are in the same lecture room. If their deliberations in the past questions have shown that they know so much in that area, and you really have no time to get it from them, you only have that time to get it from that environment, maybe lecture or whatsoever. Ask those hard questions that may not be hard for other people. Because at the end of the day, it is you. I've seen people let go in the areas they are not really comfortable. Okay? So, take on the learning spirit. You are learning as an individual, even when you have a discussion group or you are in a class. So ask the questions that are an issue to you. And don't be offended if somebody seems to react otherwise. Actually, it is not in order for them to react that way, because you are the one asking the question and you are the one who wants to learn. You are not asking the question for them. You are asking it for you. Okay? So be comfortable to open up and let people know your areas of challenge and identify who can help. Okay? Don't this bad wagoning. Don't really identify with others because you are not the same. Your perception, your learning abilities may vary. So if you are comfortable right at the beginning and you are hearing it, you should be able to accommodate each other in your discussion groups or lecture rooms or whatsoever. And allow people learn, okay? Not also intimidate them. Because that's not your area. Your area could be different from their area of learning that could be the issue, okay? So, I know we are supposed to end the discussion around 10, but I would rather I hear from you. If we can have a discussion in the next 30 minutes, driven by you, maybe it would be more helpful to you. So I beg to take on any questions.